you guys are in a position to where you're being asked to make a choice without any context, right? So it's being, proverbially, sword to your back, pushed to walk the plank, or, running for your life and coming to the edge of a cliff, and everything in you saying jump, but it looks like certain it's like, why would I jump off of this cliff? But it's feeling like you're in an unfair situation to have to make this choice. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your July soul session. I'm Princess India. If you're new and if you're family, welcome back, my friend, and whatnot, or whatever. If you're not familiar with what my soul sessions are, they are your spirituality, okay, can't shuffle, and your personal development readings, in which we look at the energies you guys may encounter for a given month for the sole purpose of providing you clarity, insight, and guidance, and all that good stuff and whatnot or whatever. I just got an intuitive hit to get a deck that is in the far back of all of the decks that I have over there that are really, disorganized. And I'll get it, I'll probably have to pause. But if you see my eyes and they look glassy and watery, it's because I just finished literally crying laughing, because I just told my fellow INFJ friend how much I appreciate them and care about them. And, INFJs don't really do that. We don't do the mushy talk. And her and I both had a moment, and I'm literally like, let us never speak of this again. And we were both laughing hysterically to the point that I started to cry laughing. So pay no mind to my eyes, Sagittarius. But anywho, little story about my life. Don't know if you care. I hope you do, because I love Sagittarius. Anywho, we're going to jump into you guys' cards, and I'm going to grab that deck. This is one of my therapeutic decks. And the other deck is one of my therapeutic decks. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's see what's going on with you guys. Okay, for the month of July, first card out is the Fool in the reverse. So it's somewhat of a two major arcanas. Let's do it. We have the Fool in the reverse. That's Aries energy. That's also aligned with the planet Pluto. And the next card that came out face up is the Justice in the reverse, and that is aligned with Libra energy. So with two major arcanas coming out for you guys in the beginning of the reading, it's more or less a false start to a new beginning. And I'm saying false start, but it really feels like if we were to really go with Rider-Waite Fool analogy, dude with the hobo bag and the dog, you know what I'm saying? And him walking off of the cliff freely. What I would say is coming out of June into July, there's a reluctance to trust spirit. So there's more or less an unction in your gut that's pushing you to do something that in your conscious mind seems completely irrational, right? It seems like a death wish, right? Why would, in a very, conscious 3D sense, why would I walk off of a cliff? Where would that be beneficial to me, right? Because the, thought of it is certain death, right? But what it's really saying is there's a lack there of stepping out on faith. So spirit is, in so many words, leading Sagittarius to do something that is irrational, that goes against all logic. But there's a reluctance to step out on faith and trust spirit because it's illogical, right? But if I can tell you anything about being a spiritual person and following spirit, pretty much everything spirit will lead you to do will be illogical and will be contradictory to human logic, right? But with this Justice card, the thing with this is I feel that there's more or less a fear of making the wrong choice, or that one could be misjudging the situation, right? There's other elements of this, which is ironic because something I've been kind of sitting with since I finished Scorpio was how Libra reading, oh, good Lord. the cards just flying out everywhere. With the way that Libra's reading came out was very like circa 2018. And it just got me kind of thinking about a lot of things, like kind of taking a step back and looking at the whole picture of my channel and what it is that we do here and all of that stuff. And even thinking about those of you who've been here since then. The pathology readings that I launched in July. I think it was like 2019 or something like that. And I started thinking about that because a consistent theme with my channel, and all of this is very relevant to, you know, your reading. So just, you know, follow your girl. But anyway, something that's a consistent theme in my readings and has been since I started this channel, specifically with Libra. And what I wrote down on a sticky note was that Libra brings karmic messages to the collective. And pathology, which was the series of readings that I used to do, where it didn't go by zodiac sign, it went by your pathology number, to kind of catch all of those, you know, like messages and stuff like that. But anywho, the thing that's been the consistent thing with Libra is the messages that always come out for Libra resonate with Libra. Libra is who blew up my channel in the first place. But it always, looking back in hindsight, every message that comes out for Libra where it ends up being like a ridiculously long reading, it always ends up being a karmic message for the collective type of deal, right? So it's like what's really happening right now today in the ethers, that message always gets delivered through Libra. And it has always been me trying to find ways of how can I get everyone to listen to this message without saying like all signs listen, you know what I'm saying? But with this Justice card coming up, after I was pondering on that, I see it in a literal sense, but I also see that it's a fear of making the wrong choice, but at the same time, it's almost feeling like you fell at the less than stellar end of karma, if that makes sense. And that's going back again to the traditional interpretation of this card, which is like reward and punishment, of course, with justice, but with it being reversed, it's falling more on that side of punishment. So the vibe I get from this and what I'm seeing now is like someone being made to walk the plank, right? So it's almost like being in this impossible kind of situation and not really understanding how one ended up here, if that's making sense, you know? The next card, another major arcana, are you kidding me? The next card is the Lovers. That's Gemini energy. And that's also in the reverse. So there, and this is still saying everything I was saying before, because it's almost as if said, you guys are in a position to where you're being asked to make a choice without any context, right? So it's being, you know, proverbially, you know, sword to your back, pushed to walk the plank, or, you know, running for your life and coming to the edge of a cliff, and everything in you saying jump, but it looks like certain death. It's like, why would I jump off of this cliff? You know what I'm saying? Like Thelma and Louise vibes, for those of you who are old enough to know what that is. You know what I'm saying? But it's feeling like you're in an unfair situation to have to make this choice, you know? And I don't even know how the algorithm feels about that, but I mean, this is now illegal in Louisiana. I don't even think I can say that word, but I'm trying to think how it starts with the letter A and rhymes with torsion. Hopefully you feel where I'm going with that. So that's the only thing that's really sticking out to me of what this could mean, where it's like you're in a situation to where you found yourself like preggers, right? And not saying that's the only situation, but this is just what's pronouncing itself as a message that's coming out now. You find yourself in a situation where you're with someone, you find yourself preggers, and pretty much the dude is like, do that, or I don't want to be with you anymore. And that would be like a hypothetical, probably the worst hypothetical situation ever, to where your back is against the wall and it's like this situation goes so much against what it is that you stand for, but it's feeling like you don't have any other options, even though you do, but feeling as if you don't have any other option. And I don't say that as a pro-choice kind of thing. A pro-life thing. I'm saying that as you have a choice to do what you want to do, because that's on you. You know what I'm saying? What feels right in your spirit to do. You know what I'm saying? Not advocating for either side. Don't come at me in the comments. I'm just saying. Anywho, but it's feeling as if you don't have a choice and feeling that it's unfair that you're in this situation in the first place. And then starting to question, like, what could I have possibly done to deserve this type of thing? Like wondering, like, am I being punished? Like, is God punishing me because it's being pushed to the edge of an impossible situation? You know what I mean? But what I feel with this is granted, looking at the situation for what it is, going back to what I was saying with the Fool in the reverse, it's like looking at it in your conscious mind. Absolutely. It can seem like an impossible situation and not understand logically, like the linear, what got you here type of deal. And I feel that's what makes you guys feel like you don't have a choice in the matter. But I feel in the bigger scheme of things, which would require one to look at this from a higher mindset, you would be able to see that there actually is a choice. And for some of you, probably most of you, this is going to be something that requires you to solely trust spirit. Because with your reading starting out with 3 major arcanas, you know, I don't want to say that this is a test. Because y'all know how I feel about tests. When it's a test, spirit is not trying to learn something about you. Spirit is trying to teach you something about yourself. But overall, it's being put in this situation because it's almost like spirit is trying to push you past your comfort zone. And by default, it would bring your relationship closer to spirit, meaning if you jumped off of this cliff, right? This is another horrible example that is not based in reality. But if you jump off of this proverbial cliff, you know, there's, you know, like a rope bridge that you didn't see from the vantage point that you were at that gets you to the other side. But if you would have never took that chance to jump, you would have never known that that was there. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that vibe. The next card that we have is the 10 of Wands and the reverse. So that is carrying an unnecessary burden and refusing to let it go. So it's almost like, and this brings us, thank you, Spirit, back down into some good old 3D energy, but it's more or less carrying a lot of stuff on your back. So here's the deal. So this more or less looks like a situation to where a person would be being liberated or freed, but the method through which you are freed from this situation that's cumbersome and, you know, burdensome, or you're carrying a great deal of, you know, other people's burdens that you're not supposed to carry, or it's not, you know, ordained for you to carry, if you will. And it's almost being offered a get out of jail free card, but there's a catch-22 in the sense of how you embrace or accept this get out of jail free card is it's going to require you to step out on faith. So it's kind of like you're in a situation, you're overwhelmed, it's extremely cumbersome, it's too much, right? And the only way out of it seems like, I can't say that word either. Come on, algorithm. The only way out of it seems like a proverbial certain, you know, jumping off of a cliff type of situation, right? So the only way out is the worst case scenario, which would bring us back to, how do I make a choice like this, right? What did I do to deserve this? Why is this happening to me? You know what I'm saying? And the only way, like, so if we look at it like Likert scale, all the way to the left, all the way to the right, if you look at it from that perspective, the only way out, like I tell you guys about, timelines and things of the sort, how you transcend out of a specific timeline where you can only bounce back and forth in the, didactic universe that we live in, is to transcend it, which would be the middle road, which is something that only manifests itself through spirit, right? So it would require you, which has been the theme so far, walking by faith and not by sight, because by sight, all of this energy makes sense. It's unfair. Am I being punished? I don't know how to make sense of this. Like, why am I being backed into a corner to have to make a decision like this? This isn't really a decision type of deal, but it's like a narrow way that isn't seen in the conscious mind that would be revealed to you if you were to trust spirit type of deal. You know what I'm saying? The next card is the Seven of Swords in the reverse. So 2 ways we can see this. On one side, which is the first interpretation that came to me with this, which would be something that is done in the dark coming to the light, right? So it's like the truth of the situation being revealed to you, right? Or it can just simply be a feeling of being robbed, right? Which comes into alignment with what it is we're seeing with these 3 major arcanas, is feeling robbed in a situation or done wrong. Another way we can see it is what I always say when I see the Seven of Swords is what you skip will trip you up later. And now would be the later that what was skipped will trip you up. Now, this bleeds into what it is that came out in the Scorpio reading, where in the Libra reading as well, where I talked about, well, it was in Libra's extended, but I talked to them about what the theme for the month is in the woke book, right? And it's about planting seeds. So it's more or less the 23rd of this month is when the full moon in Aquarius is, and that ties back to the new moon that was in Aquarius in February. So it's like whatever seeds were planted at that time are now being harvested and under this full moon energy, right? So if there's something that you started and stopped, or, you robbed a bank, you know what I'm saying, in February, like crazy example, trying to lighten the mood here, people, trying to help out. Anywho, but if you robbed a bank in February, then like this month, it would be like the police finally find you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gave it a tip, you know what I'm saying, from the surveillance footage. And they're like, hey, they're the ones that robbed the bank. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a vibe like that, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't necessarily have to be negative, because it could very well be for some of you who were wronged sometime in February, right? Like say if this energy has been kind of hovering over you since February of this year, this could be the truth being revealed, you know what I'm saying? And this being heavy on your heart in the fact that, someone stole from you, someone took advantage of you, someone like lied to you, and it's been heavy on your heart all of this time because you've been living with this pressure of like, how is this happening? How could spirit let this happen to me? I was only trying to do the right thing type of deal. And, all of this time, people have been perceiving you in a certain light, and more or less the Seven of Swords would be speaking to coming towards the midpoint of the month and going into that time of the full moon of the truth being revealed, that whatever people perceived about you was not the truth. So it's like and that's for good or for bad, I have to say that. It's like people seeing like the truth. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that means. And I feel for those of you, because I know like a lot of times, because y'all, I wish I could answer all of these comments, but I be trying. I really do be trying. But it's a lot of times like I'll put up a reading and there'll be people in the comments saying how, inheritances got stolen from them because, siblings were in cahoots and like against them. You know what I'm saying? Or people who, have gotten divorces and, the ex-partner just being bitter and spiteful and taking everything from them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel in a situation to where this would be a blessing for someone who you've been carrying this burden coming into this year of you having been taken advantage of or lied on, and you having lost a lot, and trying to understand how this happened to you. And the Seven of Swords in the reverse, speaking to people finally seeing what this other person like did to you, if that makes sense, So it's like it can go both ways, but I feel, at least if you subscribe to me, you know what I'm saying? I believe it would be you guys being vindicated in a sense, and having, the weight of this on your shoulders for some time. Oh, Lord. Let's see what other cards we got coming out for you all. This is an interesting reading. The readings I've done today have just been fascinating. They've gotten buku deep, extremely, extremely deep. And I feel like I need to say, this is only for those of you who are probably into astrology. Most specifically, if we were to say, like, if your Pluto is an Aries, I would look at what the shadow aspects of that are. But I would also look into whatever your Pluto placement is in your birth chart. And even if you don't know anything about astrology, like you hearing me say that if you feel compelled to find that out, those of you who have the woke book, I had to throw that out there. You have like the whole paper in there on your birth chart. So I would look up in there. And even if you just put it into Google, like you ain't got to go buy no astrology book and all of that. Google heals all. If you just put in whatever sign placement is in there, and I would even say for everyone, if you looked up, like if you Googled, Pluto and Aries, or Aries and Pluto, however you word it, right? And look at what the characteristics are that. And if they show you like the light aspects and the shadow aspects of it, I would look at that to see if any of that resonates with the situation that you're in. And then more specifically, so I would say that like more collectively, but more specifically, I would look at your specific sign in your birth chart that's in Pluto, and look at the shadow aspects of that, and see if in any way, shape, form, or fashion, those shadow aspects are contributing to this fear of stepping out on faith, if that makes sense. So the next card, wow, this came out for Libra. It's the Ace of Wands in the reverse. So here is the dealio, my friend. So with me seeing this Ace of Wands in the reverse here, how I said with this Fool in the reverse, a false start, that's how I look at the Ace of Wands in the reverse. So I feel this energy is almost like boxed in and encapsulated, where this is saying to me that literally the first 2 weeks of July are going to be dedicated to this energy. So whatever this is for you guys respectively, individually, right? This is something that has been, and I'm being led to do something. Well, I'm just being led to do Google stuff I don't usually do, so I'm just here for it. But anyway, with this energy for the first 2 weeks of July, I see this as like a box, and this is energy which says to me this is very karmic kind of stuff. This is something that has to be wrapped up. Now, mind you, when I say it has to be wrapped up, I'm not saying this in the sense of you all have to do something, right? I feel whatever it is that needs to transpire will, you know what I'm saying? But I feel it's not going to be until the midpoint of the month that you're going to get clarity on how it is that you need to move forward. And to really make that make sense, looking at this Ace of Wands next to the Seven of Swords in the reverse, what it really would be is it's almost kind of letting nature take its course, a little bit of waiting on divine timing type of deal. And it's more or less like how I was saying, like waiting or being patient. It's like whenever this truth comes out or this clarity comes for you guys, like second week of July, you'll have faith in this inaction, if that makes sense, because it's not passivity. It's not like just disassociating and being like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's more or less allowing nature to take its course, if that's making sense. So it's kind of like a gradual type of thing. But I feel like, at present, like I said, having this feeling of being backed into a corner or feeling wronged or not, knowing if you're being punished. I don't feel that you guys are being punished at all, but I feel either way, whether it's you have the courage to step out on faith, which I'm really not seeing so much. If you had the courage to step out on faith, I feel it would work out in your highest good. Even in the event that you didn't, I feel how things matriculate throughout the month, it's still going to give you that same like lesson you would have had if you would have jumped off the proverbial cliff and found that there was like, a rope bridge to the other side. So I feel overall you guys would get to the other side regardless. It just depends on where it is that you are in your particular development. But I feel that the conclusion you guys more or less would come to is understanding that you have to let things play out. Now, I've never even used this deck on my channel. I don't even know why I bought this deck, first of all. I was just led to use it. The fact that one of my friends who's also a reader, she had a dream about this deck. And the first deck, she's like, I don't know what deck this is. She's like, it looks like antique-y and old. And the first one that popped in my mind was this one that I bought and never used because I had no clue why I even bought it in the first place. But I pulled this sucker out because for some reason, all of my decks have been in rotation. Like if you go back and look at all of the readings, it's like I'm using a different deck each reading. I'm bringing in oracles, child. Like this is, I don't know what is happening in July. But with this, I feel I need to pull 3 of these. It's like, I don't even know what you even call this. It's like the gypsy something. So I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm told, I'm being a good steward, dagnabbit son of a gun. So let's see. Okay, first one. First card is Falseness. Interesting. Whoa, hello. The second one is Child. Wow. Oh, this is just, man. Let me just say, oh, sweet mother of goodness, misfortune. Here's the thing. All right. So, okay. If I were to go back to my scenario with the word that starts with the letter A that rhymes with, torsion, right? Tech torsion. I don't know. Just follow me. If I were to go with that, if a person is being put into a position, like if someone is forcing you to do that or guilt tripping you into doing that, and whatever, like if we were to just follow this line of cards here, falseness, child, and misfortune, right? If we were to just follow this line of cards, if a person is telling you and say that this is something you're totally against, like in your belief system or in your spirit, it does not feel right for you to do this thing. And the only reason why you're even considering or fathoming doing this is because this person is telling you, oh my gosh, like this would be so horrible if this happened, like, and just gives this whole story about how their life would become peril, misery, and woe. You know what I'm saying? I feel they're not being honest. You know what I'm saying? And of course, y'all know, I don't tell people what they can or cannot do or what you should or should not do, because I believe everyone should follow their spirit and not my little, regular self just sitting here on YouTube, because in the bigger scheme of things, who am I? You know what I'm saying? You always want to follow what it is that your spirit is telling you. However, if your spirit is telling you that this is the right path for you, like the whole, kid thing, like if that's right for you, I feel that this person, and God, this would just be so horrible to me. if this person would be telling you one story to guilt trip you into doing something, and you ended up going against yourself, and then the truth came out as to what was really happening type of deal, I feel that would be very, very like unfortunate for you, and at the fact that you did something that went against your moral belief system for something that wasn't true, right? If that makes sense, right? Now, the other way that we could look at this is being in a situation to where the child is not a literal child, but it's a new beginning. You know what I'm saying? So it's more or less, if we were to see this as like, this is a blessing that's being offered to you, but seeing it as like a curse or a trick, like being offered a promotion and you seeing this as like, oh, it's probably going to give me more work. Or if you're offered a job and you're like, oh, this is a scam, this is too good to be true type of thing. When in actuality, this was like a blessing that spirit was trying to give you. I'm getting so many messages for this. When in actuality, this was really like a new beginning and a blessing for you, but there's still this element of you finding out the truth after the fact. It's like being reluctant to take an opportunity that's offered to you because it's misjudging it as a burden when it's really a blessing. It's just that at present, it doesn't seem like a blessing. It just seems like a burden. And then realizing after the fact that this was really like something you actually wanted. It just wasn't offered to you in a package in which seemed as if it were that. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I said, it's a vibe of perceiving it as too good to be true. But then as time passes and the smoke clears, you know what I'm saying? Or even if we looked at it as like coming out of the, retro, post-retro shade of Mercury retrograde. And when clarity sets in, then you see it for what it really is, but it's too late. You know what I'm saying? It's like the opportunity is offered in the beginning part of the month. You see it as BS, but in truth, it's really a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And it's more or less fear-based because it seemed, too good to be true type of deal. Midpoint of the month, it's very clear that this was a blessing, but the opportunity has passed, the door has closed. So, you can't pass go and collect $200. And now that ends up becoming like, what this misfortune card is representing. And the fact that it's like a mini tower moment because it's a missed opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where there's no goesies, backsies. It's like with the Ace of Wands in reverse, even, it's like the damage is done to where even if you come to afterwards, it's too late to where it can't be, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no goesies, backsies on that. It's just an opportunity that's lost. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I feel this trust in spirit is so, so imperative and so extremely important, because you would have to be led by your intuition in this, because I feel in like a literal sense, it's like you're walking blind. It's like what's really happening, you cannot see that. And whatever it is that you see, it's like I was saying before, it's like you're standing at the edge of the cliff and there's nowhere else to go but to jump off. You know what I'm saying? But if you allow, how things are kind of looking in the 3D with a limited perspective, it can prevent you from seeing a blessing, right? So this is one of those months, Sag, and I mean, you guys sign like this is y'all stilo. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all are the sages and the philosophers of the zodiac. If no one else knows how to hear from spirit, it is y'all. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if you got Sag in the 12th house, So the whole thing is here is to listen to your intuition and to follow spirit in reference to this, because I feel logic is not going to solve whatever this is you guys are dealing with. You know what I'm saying? It's like logic isn't gonna give you the solution. You either need to wait on timing for the truth to be revealed, or you need to take step by step by listening to your intuition, because that can't guide you wrong. So I hope and pray that that made sense. My Sagittarius friend, I'm going over to my network to do you guys extended. So if you're about that life, follow me on over there. If not, I think the link is somewhere around here. You know what I'm saying? But if not, I still love your face. And I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.